Hi, everybody. Come see me in Atlantic City, February 3rd at the Borgata Resort Spa and Casino. February 4th. Where are you, Patriot fans? Wicked Pissa. It's going to be retarded. I'm at Foxwoods Theater, February 4th. Atlantic City, Borgata, February 3rd. Foxwoods, February 4th. Holler.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Goodness gracious. It's that time again, friends. It's Thursday. More stories coming to you live from Fake Mustache Studios. And run a good run, man. It's the end of the year. And I got to tell you, to tap myself on the back, I have to say that...
You pat yourself, really.
Pats? What did I say?
You said tap yourself on the back.
To tap myself on the back?
You would just get in touch with yourself by doing that.
Well, I wouldn't really pat myself on the back. I would tap myself on the back.
So
that's
say,
just my personal...
Hey, you, how are you?
Yeah, so I can turn around and look at the trophy case behind me.
Ah.
With all my names engraved.
Gotcha.
I will say this. I was looking back. I was on iTunes. And by the way, if you listen to this, I think somehow if you leave a message on iTunes, it affects the rankings. They take that more into... if you make a comment on iTunes, it affects the rankings positively, even if you say it stinks.
Not to interrupt you, but I believe that's one of the reasons why Mr. Marin is so successful, because his listeners are not only into the show, but they're fanatical and they leave comments and stuff, and that makes him so much more successful.
I think it's also he does it every 2 days. That's also...
Sort of attrition, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, like Corolla does it every day, and I think Marin does it every 3 or 4 days. But Marin, full credit to Mark Marin. He's got like John Hamm. Like he gets the craziest big league guests of all time.
I agree.
And so, but I will say this: looking back on the year, having just done a podcast for the first time ever, and I have no idea how to upload anything. I don't know how to copy and paste. I wrote 2 books by emailing people 40 pages of writings because I didn't know how to send a document until my Real Housewives of New... I swear to God, this year my Real Housewives of New Jersey blog, beautiful, delightful Monica Rehani from Bravo TV is actually on the phone, walked me through how to copy and paste, how to send a document. And I went, it changed my life. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe an editor just sat by while this caveman mule just sent them like a 44-page email. Like, wow, can you imagine if that got lost?
You wrote your book in an email?
Yeah, like whenever I sat down to write, it was just, dear so-and-so, here goes. And I would just do it all and just send it and just hope I didn't lose my Wi-Fi at the Hilton Honors program. But I will say this, looking back on the year that was, first time out of the gate as far as a podcast, I will put Jeremy Guthrie, Matt Paxton, Patrice O'Neill, Colin Quinn, and David Tell. Is that 5?
That's 5.
5?
Yeah.
I'll put those 5 up against anyone in the history of podcasts. That is a maniacal run. That is a crazy, and so different. And Patrice, number 17, if you haven't listened to it, you should. It was his last interview. Like the weird thing about Patrice going like, man, I just realized something, Jay Mohr. What? I'm fucking lazy. And but he went up to leave. What people don't realize, and this is what I want to do on the new website, is have a comment section, basically my own personal Twitter on jmohr.com.
Right.
Is I want to write he got up to leave. You hear it now that I hipped you to it. It's about 3 minutes left. He goes, all right. And I'm like, no, sit back down. Sit. I don't know why, but I panicked. And then it was in that 3 minutes. I told him how great everything was going for him. Like, you owe it to everyone to just keep going, because he wasn't going to do another roast. He's like, because I did it already. I'm like, but that's why you got to keep going. And then that's when he goes, I just realized something. I'm fucking lazy, man. Colin was ridiculous. Attell was great. Keaton Simons was great. We had a good run. And our boy Mike Catherwood is with us again. Why do you say their names? It's in the pod data. Because sometimes you're not looking at pod data because you're too busy texting while you drive.
And that's because it's what you do. I'm a broadcaster for a living. Don't get like there's this whole new culture of things that are done specifically on the internet. This is how they are done on the internet. Oh well, I'm sorry if you're trolling and you're doing this. You want to be first in the comment section. There's all these little like customary things that go on and only exist now in the internet age. And Generation Yers insist on you doing that way. But you got to realize people have been doing broadcasts for 90 years, and there's also traditions that go along with that, and some of them translate over to the internet, and that's just the way it is.
I don't think it's smart of you, Mike, to just start this out by bashing my audience.
I'm not bashing anybody. I get upset when certainly when people they make comments on like Loveline's Facebook page or anything like that, when it's the way the show goes is not customary to how they're accustomed to their internet life.
Yeah,
they're like, you're such a sellout. You're going to commercial again. I'm like, I don't have a choice. It's not like I get, I can't.
Is that broad? Who runs it all?
CBS Radio.
So CBS is like, you got to hit the post.
You have to do this many commercials an hour. It's not like a podcast.
That's how we pay
I would love to do a podcast where I could just Dr. Drew and I could sit and talk about herpes.
There's no. It's like being a jazz musician. There's no money in it.
Yeah, I signed a contract.
There's no contract here.
I would love to.
Kevin Smith and I ballpark this on a handshake.
And like people request that I do certain character voices, and they say like, you should do Rudy Mohr. I'd be like, I'd love to, but it's not the Mike show. It's Loveline. How the bosses who own Loveline want it to be done. I'm. You know what I'm saying? If I did the Mike show, I would be more open to like your request.
I think it was Marv Levy had a great. I said this to Matt Cohen on the phone the other day because I'm always in touch with my producers. I'm always down with Daniel Lanois over here. I think it was Marv Levy said, when you listen to the fans, you wind up sitting next to them.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's pretty
great.
That's for a 70-year-old Buffalo Bill coach. Like, put in Tasker. Forget special teams. Let Tasker play linebacker.
It's a fine line.
Okay, fans, I got this.
It's a fine line, too, because, like you said, these people are the consumers of your product, and you want so desperately to please them.
But are they consumers if it's free? They're digesters. I don't know if they're consumers if it's a free thing. There's got to be another word in this new age that we're talking
about. They're my
about.
clients. That's the way I look at it. Like, just like when you do stand-up.
They're my audience.
When you do stand-up, the people who not only come to see you, they're not only your audience, they're your clients. I mean, they're who you're looking to please. Your job.
I always think of them as my I honestly think of them, as might sound gay, as my friends.
Yeah.
Like, we're all pals here. Like, let's do this.
But if you were to do the show every night when you're on stage, how you thought that audience, how you thought that group of your friends wanted it, it wouldn't be as good as if you just did it to the best of your abilities. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes certainly in radio and television. And I think that the line gets blurred too much between what certain new types of entertainment are and what the way things are, how the rules are. It'd be like if for people to get upset because every broadcast isn't exactly how they want it, would be like people assuming your stand-up is exactly like an episode of Gary Unmarried. You don't write that script. You don't get a choice on when you get to talk to certain character. You showed up and you were an actor in a show that was owned by someone else. When you're doing stand-up, you do it how you like. And that's kind of the difference between a podcast and a broadcast.
Well, it's a high wire act because I do it the way I like it, but if I don't do it the way they like it, I don't get asked back to do it ever again.
Yeah,
like I have to do Walken.
It's a fine line.
I was opening with Walken in Irvine, and that was, it's amazing. 27 years into a stand-up comedy career, you go, I'm going to open with Freebird.
Right. Right. I saw Rush a couple years ago open with Tom Sawyer, and you're like, ballsy.
And you're like, now what? And then you go, now no one, because what happens usually is if I'm doing stand-up, about 15 minutes in, somebody from the back just goes, Walken! Paint it black, you devil! Paint it black! Did you ever hear that on Get Your Yayas Out, the Rolling Stones live album?
No.
I think it's 72, and it's Madison Square Garden. It's Mick Taylor, so it's got to be 75, I guess. And right before they go into Sympathy for the Devil, he goes, all right, all right. And then also you just hear a lady in the audience go, paint it black. Like a real, Queen's, Jewy voice. Like, Queen, paint it black. Like, excuse me, Mr. Jagger, could you do paint it black for everybody at the garden? She just goes, paint it black. Paint it black, you devil. And then right when she says that, boom, doom, 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 Wyman starts the bass for "Sympathy for the Devil."
Nice.
It's perfect.
But it's funny. Yeah, there's a
Like, what if he just went, all right, fuck it, paint it black. The people, like, that's, we didn't rehearse Paint It Black.
I know.
I'm agreeing with you. And it's,
but it is a fine line. I'm agreeing with you in the same way. It's like everybody that listens to a radio,
with you,
and I'm agreeing with you
No.
that it's a fine line, because everybody that listens to the radio show, I think, assumes if you do a radio show well, that show is for them. That show is designed for them in their car right at that moment. But at the same time, they need to understand.
But if you're a program director or if you're an owner of a station,
Mm-hmm.
that's how that's jackpot. We are making radio for you.
Right.
You want to listen to No Doubt, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Offspring, and then hear Ralph and Kevin and Bean do their thing and Showbiz News, and then you're going to do Robert Smith from The Cure.
Yeah.
Like, so it is this bizarre thing.
Yeah.
It is a high wire act. Like, it's not exactly for you, but I have to make you think. If you're my demographic, it is for you.
Right.
My act. Anybody that came to see my act's for them.
And the tough part is that 9% of your audience, maybe even smaller, listens to every minute of every show 5 days a week. And those people
on a radio show
get so upset. Right. They get so upset because they're like, man, I hear the same things over. I hear you tease the same breaks. I hear you play the same commercials. I hear you see the same voices. And what the problem is that you want so desperately to please those 5% because they're your biggest fans, but at the same time, they're not representative of the audience you're doing the show for. The audience you're doing the show for listens for 20 minutes a week.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, so it's very.
But also, like, when people say, like, you go to the breaks and you play the Offspring and you do this and you play you hit the same commercials. It's almost like you want to grab these people and shake them and go, "That's the show.
Yeah,
that's the circus. The tiger comes out in the cage with the rolling wheels on it,
right?
And then the elephants come out. They stand on a box." And then the clowns come out and freak everyone out. It's like going, the clowns always come out after the elephants. That's the circus, you dope. That's what we're doing here.
Right. And
look at the game tape.
I think the people.
How the fuck you going to be great if you don't know how to study greatness?
I think the people who have the ability to divorce themselves from that and really just do their show and not get too obsessive about it have the highest quality of life and the longest careers. But the people who really stay obsessive about it, wanting to please the everyone, are the people who end up being great. Because I will say, and I back up Kevin and Bean.
Wind up being great?
Right. I mean,
the ones that stay obsessive
the Opie and Anthony's, the Howard Sterns, the Kevin and Beans, they still, this many years in, are deeply concerned with pleasing the fans.
Oh, you're wrong.
I think.
Opie and Anthony.
I think on the air, I'm a huge O and A fan.
They fucking hate, because O and A, I'm speaking only from what I've been told in public, nothing private. And from what I've been told by Opie, Anthony, and Jimmy, and what I've heard them say on the show while I've been listening, they always eat their own in the end. And when, here's how a message board works. You get a message board.
But Jay, I got to stop you there. That's the difference. Is that this is a 10-year-old problem. Opie and Anthony have had a 30-year career. It's a 10-year-old problem. The message board. You cannot at all. You cannot at all take any, and this is the fine line you got to walk. You can't take anything away from forums, message boards, or Facebook pages, because those people, by and large, have no idea how to make a good radio show. And secondly, are always the people who are so upset with themselves that they feel the need to spend time on a message board talking shit. Those message boards you don't get any love on a message board for going on there and saying, what a great show today. I mean, it's just a collection of people saying, oh,
they used to be
I'm
better.
Glad Patrice is gone. Fucking Jimmy's not funny anymore. That's the basis of a message board, is you get people fired up and everybody yells about how shitty the show is.
And speaking of message boards, yes, Neon Taster, I'm giving you props again. There's just some guy in a message board that says nice things about the podcast, so I called him out, and then his post was, who cares about all that? Jay Mohr mentioned me on his podcast. Neon Taster. He gets it.
Neon Taster is a great American, and we love him.
So you co-host Loveline with Dr. Drew, which we know. When I was on Loveline, and by the way, 2 weeks ago on that Tuesday, I can't do it. I never got back to you.
No, you did. You told me you had a massive audition. I don't want to talk about the details.
Oh, I did. I had to audition for a Noah Baumbach show on HBO, which I didn't get. However, the Aaron Sorkin audition went super, super great.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
That one went perfect.
Good.
And I got Steve Carell, Jim Carrey movie.
You did?
Yeah, I got the part of Rick the Implausible in their magician. Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi are like Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah.
It's just like a total
That sounds
ridiculous.
awesome.
And then Jim Carrey comes to town, to Vegas, and he's like the David Blaine cool guy. Like he lets audience members punch him in the face.